Welcome back to Coins X Tales. We're exploring rare Lincoln 1-cent pennies, coins that have made people rich. Let's find out why you should never overlook these coins. Because who knows, a single coin could change your life. Don't miss this. Top 1. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent penny 1976 D mint mark. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary copper penny from the bicentennial year. But what if I tell you that some of these coins can be worth far more than 1 cent? The 1976 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and the small d under the date tells us it was made there. In 1976, millions of Americans were celebrating 200 years of independence, and coins from that year hold strong historical interest. While the quarter and half dollar had special bicentennial designs, the Lincoln cent kept its classic look featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Now you might think because so many were made, this coin cannot be valuable. It is true that hundreds of millions were produced at the Denver Mint. But here is where condition changes everything. Most 1976 D pennies were heavily circulated. They were used in stores, dropped in jars, and spent without a second thought. Finding one today in average circulated condition is easy, but finding one in high mint state condition with full red original luster is much harder. Collectors pay strong money for coins graded MS66 and higher, especially if they have sharp strike details and no visible marks. Let's talk about errors, because this is where excitement begins. Point 1. Of the most interesting errors found on some 1976 D pennies is the double die effect. This happens during the die creation process and can show slight doubling in the date or lettering. True double dies are rare and highly collectible. Another error to look for is off-center strikes. If the coin design is not perfectly centered and part of the design is missing while the date is still visible, collectors love it. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable it becomes. You might also find die cracks, cuds, or coins struck through grease which can create missing letters or weak details. While minor errors may only add small value, strong and clear errors can increase the price significantly. Color is another important factor. Copper coins are graded as brown, red-brown, or red. A full red 1976 D penny with blazing original mint color is much rarer than a dark brown one. That bright red shine can make a huge difference in value. So what is this coin actually worth? In circulated condition, the 1976 D Lincoln penny is usually worth about 1 to 5 cents. In uncirculated mint state condition, values typically range from $5 to $15 depending on grade and color. High-grade examples graded around MS67 have sold at auction for around $1,000. Strong error coins can sell from $100 to several $1,000s depending on rarity and condition. That is why coin collectors always say never ignore your pocket change. A simple 1-cent coin could be hiding in plain sight. If you enjoyed learning about the 1976 D Lincoln penny and want more videos about rare and valuable coins, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a hidden treasure story. Check your coins carefully, and who knows, your next penny could be worth big money. Top 2. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent penny 2001 with no mint mark. It may look ordinary, but for collectors, even modern pennies can hold surprises. First, let's clear something important. When you see a 2001 penny with no mint mark, that does not mean it is an error. It simply means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. For Lincoln cents in 2001, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark, while coins from Denver have a small d under the date. The 2001 Lincoln cent still features Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. It is part of the long-running Memorial Reverse Design series that started in 1959. By 2001, these coins were made from a copper-plated zinc composition, which means they are mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. Now here is where things get interesting. Because billions of 2001 pennies were produced in Philadelphia, most examples you find in circulation are only worth face value. But condition changes everything. A heavily circulated coin with scratches, dull color, and wear will only be worth 1 cent. However, finding a perfectly preserved, uncirculated example with full red luster is much harder than people think. Collectors look for coins graded MS65 and above. A bright red 2001 no mint mark penny with sharp details and no major marks can sell for much more than face value. The higher the grade, the stronger the price. But the real excitement comes from errors. Point 1 popular error to look for is a broad strike. This happens when the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out slightly and lose its defined edge. These can bring strong collector interest. Another error is an off-center strike. If part of the design is missing but the full date 2001 is visible, that coin becomes much more collectible. The more dramatic the off-center look, the higher the potential value. You may also find double die errors, though they are rare for this year. Slight doubling on the date or lettering must be verified carefully because machine doubling is common and not very valuable. Die cracks, cuds, and struck-through errors can also increase value depending on how dramatic and clear they are. Even small but interesting mint mistakes can turn a 1-cent coin into a collectible piece. Color is very important for modern Lincoln cents. Coins are graded as brown, red-brown, or red. A full original red coin is far more desirable. Once that bright copper color fades to brown, value usually drops unless the coin has a strong error. So what is the real market value? In circulated condition, the 2001 no mint mark Lincoln penny is worth about 1 cent. In uncirculated mint state condition, typical values range from $1 to $5 depending on grade and color. Very high-grade examples graded around MS69 have sold at auction for around $2,000. Major error coins can sell from $50 to several $100s or more depending on rarity and condition. That is why even modern pocket change should never be ignored. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story can be worth real money. If you enjoyed this video about the 2001 no mint mark Lincoln penny, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more coin value and error discoveries. Check your change carefully and keep collecting. You never know when a simple penny could surprise you. Top 3. We are going back to a classic coin that millions of Americans used every single day, but smart collectors still search for. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent penny 1964 with no mint mark. When you see 1964 with no mint mark under the date, it means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this time, Philadelphia cents did not carry a mint mark. On the front, you see Abraham Lincoln's portrait, and on the back, the Lincoln Memorial design that was introduced in 1959. Now here is what makes 1964 interesting. This was the final full year before major changes began in U.S. coin production during the mid-1960s coin shortage. Massive numbers of pennies were struck to keep up with demand. Because so many were made, most 1964 no mint mark pennies you find today in circulation are common and only worth face value. But condition and quality change everything. Most examples were heavily used in daily transactions. Finding one with strong details, clean surfaces, and original red mint luster is much harder than people think. Collectors especially look for high-grade coins with full red color and minimal contact marks. The difference between an average coin and a gem mint state example can mean the difference between 1 cent and serious collector money. Now let's talk about errors and varieties, because this is where excitement begins. Point 1 of the most talked about varieties from this year is the 1964 double die obverse. True double die coins show clear doubling in the lettering, especially in the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." These are rare and highly desirable. Another error to look for is off-center strikes. If part of the design is missing but the full date 1964 is visible, collectors will pay strong premiums depending on how dramatic the shift is. There are also die cracks, cuds, and struck-through errors that can increase value. Some coins may show repunched mint mark errors in 1964 D issues, but since we are focusing on no mint mark Philadelphia coins, strong die varieties and double dies are the key ones to watch. Color plays a huge role in value. Lincoln cents from this era are graded brown, red-brown, or red. A bright, full red coin with original mint shine is far more valuable than a dark brown circulated example. That copper glow makes a big difference. So what is the real market value? In circulated condition, the 1964 no mint mark Lincoln penny is generally worth about 1 cent to 5 cents. In uncirculated mint state condition, typical values range from $5 to $20 depending on grade and color. High-grade examples graded around MS67 have sold at auction for around $2,000. Strong double die or major error coins can sell for several $100s to several $1,000s depending on rarity and condition. That is why collectors always say never ignore older pennies, A small copper coin from 1964 could be hiding much more value than you expected. If you enjoyed learning about the 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another valuable coin story. Check your jars, check your pocket change, and keep collecting. Your next discovery could be worth big money. Top 4. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent penny 1982 with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks completely normal. You see Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. And when there is no mint mark under the date 1982, that means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But here is where things get very interesting. The year 1982 was a transition year. Because copper prices were rising, the U.S. Mint changed the composition of the Lincoln cent in 1982. Earlier pennies were made mostly of copper. Starting in 1982, the Mint switched to a copper-plated zinc composition. That means some 1982 pennies are heavy copper coins, and others are lighter zinc coins. This creates opportunity. There are actually multiple varieties for 1982 pennies. You have large date and small date versions. You also have copper and zinc versions. That means collectors carefully check the date style and even weigh the coin to identify the exact type. If you find a 1982 no mint mark penny that weighs about 3.1 grams, it is the copper version. If it weighs about 2.5 grams, it is the zinc version. That small difference can mean big value in certain rare combinations. One of the most famous and valuable varieties is the 1982 small date copper penny. While most small date Philadelphia coins are zinc, finding a true small date copper version is extremely rare and highly valuable. Now let's talk about condition. Most 1982 pennies were heavily circulated. In worn condition, they are usually worth face value. But high-grade, uncirculated examples with full red original luster are much harder to find. Collectors especially search for clean surfaces, sharp details, and bright color. Errors also add excitement. Look for off-center strikes, double die errors, die cracks, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. A strong double die showing clear doubling in the date or lettering can increase value dramatically. Off-center coins with a visible full date are also very collectible. Because this was a transition year, mistakes could happen. That is why serious collectors examine 1982 pennies very carefully. Even a small detail like the shape of the number 2 in the date can determine whether the coin is common or rare. Color again plays an important role. Coins graded as full red are worth much more than brown examples. That original copper shine makes collectors pay attention to what is the real market value. In circulated condition, most 1982 no mint mark pennies are worth about 1 cent to 5 cents. In uncirculated mint state condition, common varieties usually range from $5 to $20 depending on grade and color. High-grade examples graded around MS67 have sold at auction for around $1,000. The rare 1982 small date copper variety has sold at auction for over $10,000. Major error coins can range from $100 to several $1,000s depending on rarity and condition. That is why the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most exciting modern coins to search for. It may look ordinary, but one small detail could turn it into a valuable treasure. If you enjoyed this deep look into the 1982 no mint mark penny, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more rare coin discoveries. Check your 1982 pennies carefully, weigh them, examine the date, and who knows, you might be holding something truly special. Top 5. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent penny 1994 D mint mark. Look just below the date and you will see the small d. That means this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. On the front is Abraham Lincoln, and on the back is the Lincoln Memorial design that was used for decades before the reverse changed in 2009. Now you might be thinking it's a 1994 penny. How rare can it be? It's true that millions were made in Denver. The 1994 D penny was produced in large numbers, and most examples were released straight into circulation. That means the majority you find today are worn, scratched, and only worth face value. But condition is everything in the coin world. Most 1994 D pennies you see have lost their original red shine. They appear brown or dull red-brown from years of use. But finding one in true uncirculated condition with blazing full red luster and almost no marks is much harder than people expect. High-grade coins are where value begins to rise. Collectors look for coins graded MS65 and above. As the grade climbs, the population drops. When you reach grades like MS67 or higher, the coin becomes far more desirable because very few survive in that condition. Now let's talk about errors, because this is where excitement begins. Point 1 error to search for is a double die. True double die coins show noticeable doubling in the date or lettering, especially in words like liberty or in God we trust. Real double dies are rare and must be carefully examined. Another popular error is an off-center strike. If the coin was not perfectly aligned during striking and part of the design is missing but the full date 1994 is still visible, collectors will pay strong premiums depending on how dramatic the error is. You may also find die cracks, cuds, or coins struck through grease. Grease strike errors can cause letters or numbers to appear weak or partially missing. While minor examples add small value, bold and clear errors can increase value significantly. Because the 1994 D penny is made of copper-plated zinc, you may also notice plating issues. Sometimes the copper layer bubbles or peels. Minor plating blisters are common and usually not worth much, but unusual dramatic examples can still attract interest. Color is extremely important for modern Lincoln cents. Coins are graded brown, or red. A full original red coin with strong eye appeal is worth much more than a faded brown example. So, what is the real market value? In circulated condition, the 1994 D Lincoln penny is generally worth 1 cent. In uncirculated mint state condition, typical values range from $1 to $5 depending on grade and color. Very high-grade examples graded around MS69 have sold at auction for around $3,000. Strong error coins can sell from $50 to several $100s or more depending on rarity and condition. That is why even modern pennies deserve a second look. A simple coin from 1994 could be worth far more than you think if it has the right grade or the right error. If you enjoyed this video about the 1994 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more coin value discoveries. Check your change carefully and keep searching. Your next penny might surprise you.